Hit the like button, share your thoughts, subscribe, and tap the bell icon. High above Earth, the stars glimmered coldly, undisturbed by the sudden appearance of alien vessels in orbit. These ships, vast and angular, loomed like celestial leviathans, silent but menacing. Within hours, every communications device on Earth crackled to life. "We are the United Galactic Concord," a deep, resonant voice announced. "Your species has reached the threshold of interstellar relevance. Submit to our rule and we will ensure your survival. Resist and Earth will burn." The broadcast, repeated in hundreds of languages, carried over radio waves, satellite networks, and even into the subconscious minds of sleeping humans. The world was thrown into chaos. News stations scrambled to analyze the message, while governments convened emergency meetings. For the first time in decades, humanity faced a common threat. In a bunker beneath the Swiss Alps, representatives of the newly formed Unified Earth Council, UEC, gathered. Heads of state, military commanders, and scientists sat around a circular table, their faces lit by the flickering holograms of the alien ships. "This is not a negotiation," President Elena Castillo of the Americas said, her voice steely. "It's an ultimatum." Dr. Akihiko Mori, a physicist from Japan, leaned forward. "Their arrival defies everything we know about faster-than-light travel. Their ships are powered by technologies we can't begin to comprehend, which makes this all the more dangerous," General Tariq al-Masri of the African Defense Coalition interjected. "They believe their superiority is unassailable. We need to show them otherwise." A tense silence filled the room as the alien broadcast looped again. This time, the message included an image, a shimmering sphere displaying Earth, spinning serenely against the void. Below it, a caption read, "Submit or be erased." The first direct contact came within hours. A smaller craft detached from the largest alien ship and descended toward the UN headquarters in New York City. Its sleek, metallic surface rippled like liquid mercury as it landed in the middle of the East River, sending waves crashing against the shoreline. Aboard the craft was an emissary of the Concord, a towering, insectoid figure with chitinous armor that shimmered iridescently. Its multifaceted eyes scanned the human delegation waiting on the riverbank. The creature spoke through a translator device that rendered its voice disconcertingly human. "Your compliance is expected. Resistance is futile." President Castillo stepped forward. "We welcome peaceful dialogue, but Earth will not be coerced." The alien emitted a series of sharp clicks. "Laughter, perhaps? Your defiance is amusing but irrelevant. You will join the Concord or perish." Castillo didn't flinch. "We've faced extinction before and survived. You underestimate humanity at your peril." As the alien returned to its ship, the UEC reconvened. The mood was grim but resolute. The Concord's show of force had united humanity in a way that decades of diplomacy never could. Old rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources. Meanwhile, scientists across the globe worked tirelessly to analyze the fragments of data collected from the alien emissary and their ships. Dr. Mori and his team focused on deciphering the energy signatures emanating from the vessels, hoping to identify weaknesses. In secret, the UEC also began mobilizing its military forces. The world's brightest tacticians devised unconventional strategies, recognizing that direct confrontation would be suicide. Guerrilla warfare, sabotage, and deception would be their tools. Days turned into weeks as the standoff continued. The alien ships hovered ominously, their presence a constant reminder of the threat looming over humanity. Panic spread among the public, but so did defiance. Across the globe, people rallied under the banner of Earth's survival. In a small workshop in Brazil, an engineer repurposed scrap metal into improvised armor. In a bunker in Siberia, programmers developed viruses designed to infiltrate alien systems. From the slums of Mumbai to the skyscrapers of Manhattan, humanity prepared for a fight it couldn't afford to lose. The Concord, however, was growing impatient. Their emissary delivered a final warning. "Your time is up. Submit now or witness the power of the Concord." But Earth's leaders had already made their decision. President Castillo's voice rang out in the UEC command center. We don't submit. We survive. High above, the alien ships began to move. The countdown to humanity's greatest challenge had begun. The alien fleet hung in the sky like a sword poised to strike. Humanity, for all its flaws and divisions, had never faced such a direct and overwhelming existential threat. Yet, instead of collapsing, it adapted. In underground bunkers, hidden laboratories, and sprawling command centers, humanity's greatest minds were working around the clock. In a fortified compound deep in the Nevada desert, Dr. Akihiko Mori stared intently at the holographic projection of an alien energy core. His team had spent sleepless nights piecing together the data from the emissary's craft and the faint energy emissions from the Concorde ships. Quantum entanglement energy distribution, Mori murmured, pointing at the spiraling energy flows. This isn't just power generation. It's their communication network too. Beside him, Lieutenant Commander Iris Patel nodded. She had been assigned to bridge the gap between scientists and the military. If we can disrupt their communication, we can slow their response time. Mori frowned. It's not that simple. Their tech is light years ahead of ours. But, he tapped the edge of the hologram. Their overconfidence is a weakness. They didn't think we'd analyze their systems this quickly. Patel raised an eyebrow. Do we have a way to exploit it? Mori hesitated. Not yet, but we will. Across the Atlantic, in a secure UEC military base buried beneath the Scottish Highlands, General Tariq Al-Masri reviewed the latest intelligence reports. Drones had captured footage of Concorde scout ships conducting atmospheric surveys. They're looking for targets, Al-Masri said, his gravelly voice filling the room. They want to make an example of us before launching a full-scale invasion. Admiral Elena Park, head of Earth's naval forces, folded her arms. Let them. Every second they spend posturing is a second we use to prepare. Al-Masri turned to her, a glint of determination in his eyes. We need to think asymmetrically. We can't outgun them, but we can outthink them. Guerrilla tactics. Hit and run. Use their own arrogance against them. Park smirked. That's the spirit. Let's give them a taste of humanity's creativity. Meanwhile, Earth's response extended beyond its militaries and governments. In an abandoned factory on the outskirts of São Paulo, Lucas, a young robotics engineer, worked feverishly on a prototype drone. Around him, a ragtag group of hackers and mechanics, students, hobbyists, and former soldiers, were assembling makeshift weapons from scrap. We're not soldiers, Lucas said, soldering wires to a circuit board, but we're not powerless either. If the big shots are fighting in space, we'll protect our neighborhoods down here. One of the mechanics, a grizzled veteran named Miguel, grunted in agreement. They'll regret underestimating Earth. Every street, every alley, they'll find us waiting. This grassroots defiance wasn't unique to Brazil. Similar movements were springing up in cities and towns across the globe. Humanity's diversity, once a source of division, had become its greatest strength. The United Galactic Concorde, however, remained unaware of the storm brewing below. To them, Earth was just another primitive planet to be subjugated. On board the flagship Zeraction Ascendant, Overseer Vehicle, a reptilian humanoid with shimmering scales, observed a holographic map of Earth. They scramble like ants, Vehicle hissed, his voice tinged with disdain. Primitive, predictable. His lieutenant, a feline-like alien named Asrix, purred in agreement. Their resistance will be brief. Shall we proceed with the demonstration? Vehicle's elongated fingers tapped on the holographic interface. Not yet. Let them stew in their fear a while longer. Their despair will ensure compliance. Asrix inclined her head. And if they refuse? Vehicle's lips curled into a predatory smile. Then we show them the cost of defiance. In the weeks that followed, the UEC coordinated Earth's defenses with increasing urgency. The world's brightest minds had devised an audacious plan to hack the Concorde's quantum communication network. If successful, they could disrupt the invaders' command structure and buy precious time. Dr. Mori and his team worked tirelessly in their underground lab. After countless failed attempts, they finally found a vulnerability, an oversight in the Concorde system, likely dismissed as inconsequential by its creators. "This is it," Maury said, his voice trembling with exhaustion and excitement. "We can inject a virus into their network. It won't bring their ships down, but it will cause chaos." Lieutenant Commander Patel leaned over his shoulder, her eyes scanning the data. "How long do we have to deploy it?" "Not long," Maury replied. "If they detect us, it's over." The virus was ready just in time. As the Concorde scout ships began descending into Earth's atmosphere, the UEC launched their counteroffensive. A coordinated cyber attack, spearheaded by Maury's team, targeted the Concorde's communication systems. First, nothing seemed to happen. The alien ships continued their methodical descent. Then, one by one, they faltered. Navigation systems glitched, weapon systems went offline, and the scout ships veered off course. In the chaos, humanity struck. From hidden missile silos and camouflaged fighter jets to improvised drones, Earth's forces launched a barrage of attacks. Though the Concorde's ships were heavily armored, the unexpected ferocity of the assault forced them to retreat to higher altitudes. In the aftermath of the battle, humanity celebrated its first victory. It wasn't a decisive win, far from it, but it was proof that the invaders were not invincible. In the UEC Command Center, President Castillo addressed the world. "Today, we showed the United Galactic Concorde that humanity will not kneel. They came here thinking they could intimidate us. They were wrong. We are far from defeated, and this is only the beginning." High above Earth, on the Zeraxian Ascendant, Overseer Vikal seethed with anger. "They dare resist us?" he snarled. "Very well. If they want war, they shall have it." Earth's defiance had caught the United Galactic Concorde off guard. The successful disruption of their communication network and the subsequent counterattack forced the alien fleet to momentarily regroup. But this was no retreat, it was a recalibration. To the Concorde, humanity's actions were an irritation, not a threat. Their response would be swift and merciless. On board the Zeraxian Ascendant, Overseer Vikal towered before a council of Concorde strategists. Their holographic forms shimmered in the dim light of the command chamber, representing the elite minds of various Concorde species. "The primitives have bitten the hand that offered them mercy," Vikal hissed. "We must respond decisively to crush their spirit." A crystalline entity, its form shifting with each word, chimed in. "Select a city and annihilate it. Their resolve will evaporate once they see the consequences of resistance." Esrix, Vikal's feline lieutenant, narrowed her slitted eyes. "Overseer, allow me to lead the demonstration. Their most populous city, this Shanghai, will serve as an example." Vikal raised a clawed hand, silencing her. "No. We will choose a city of symbolic importance. Their capital of Washington, D.C. shall burn. Prepare the fleet for the strike." The council members murmured in agreement before their holograms winked out. Vikal turned to Esrix. "Ensure nothing remains but ashes." In the unified Earth Council's underground command center, unease hung in the air. The temporary disruption of the Concorde systems had bought Earth time, but it wouldn't last. General Tariq Al-Masri paced before a massive tactical map of Earth, illuminated with markers representing Concorde ships. "They've pulled their scout ships back into orbit," Al-Masri said, gesturing at the map. "This isn't a retreat. They're planning something bigger." Admiral Elena Park nodded grimly. "They're regrouping for a demonstration of force. The question is, where will they strike?" Dr. Akihiko Mori, seated at a nearby terminal, looked up from his analysis. "They'll target more than just infrastructure. They'll want to cripple our morale." President Elena Castillo entered the room, her presence commanding immediate attention. "Then we need to anticipate their move. If we can predict the target, we can evacuate civilians and prepare a counterstrike." Mori hesitated. With their technology, a full-scale orbital bombardment could destroy any city in minutes. "Our defenses won't hold. They don't expect us to fight back," Castillo said firmly. "That's their weakness." 2 days later, the Concorde made their move. A massive assault carrier descended from orbit, flanked by smaller escort ships. Their destination was clear: Washington, D.C. News of the impending attack spread like wildfire, sparking panic across the globe. While civilians were evacuated, the UEC scrambled to mount a defense. In a hidden base outside the city, Lieutenant Commander Iris Patel briefed a group of elite pilots. "This isn't just about defending Washington," Patel said, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "It's about showing the Concorde that humanity won't be cowed. We'll deploy experimental tech derived from the data Dr. Mori's team recovered. It's untested, but it's our best shot." One of the pilots raised a hand. "And if it fails?" Patel's lips thinned. "Then we improvise. Remember, they think we're beneath them. Prove them wrong." As the Concorde fleet approached, Earth's skies erupted with activity. Anti-aircraft batteries roared to life, launching swarms of missiles at the descending ships. Jets and drones streaked through the air, engaging the alien crafts in a desperate dogfight. The assault carrier unleashed its might, raining energy beams onto the city below. Entire blocks disintegrated in flashes of white-hot light, but humanity's forces pressed on. The newly developed electromagnetic pulse, EMP missiles, designed to overload alien systems, proved devastatingly effective against the smaller escort ships. Inside one of the alien vessels, Esrix snarled as her control console flickered. "Their crude weapons are disrupting our systems. Divert power to shields." Her subordinates scrambled to comply, but the human pilots had anticipated this. While the escort ships focused on defense, a squadron of stealth drones slipped past their perimeter and targeted the assault carrier's underbelly. The drones, equipped with experimental plasma charges, detonated in unison, punching a hole through the carrier's armor. On the ground, chaos reigned. Civilians fled in every direction as emergency responders worked to save lives amid the rubble. In the command center, President Castillo watched the battle unfold on a holographic display. "Status?" she demanded. Admiral Park's voice crackled over the comms. "The EMP strikes are working, but their carrier is still operational. We need more firepower." Castillo's jaw tightened. "Deploy the orbital defense railgun." Park hesitated. "It's not fully calibrated. If it misfires, we don't have time for perfection," Castillo snapped. "Fire it." High above Earth, the railgun platform Vanguard activated. Built in secret as a last resort weapon, the railgun used magnetic acceleration to launch tungsten projectiles at hypersonic speeds. Its operators targeted the assault carrier, now visibly struggling to maintain altitude. "Target locked," the platform's commander reported. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. The railgun roared, sending a projectile hurtling toward the carrier. Seconds later, it struck with catastrophic force, splitting the massive ship in two. The explosion lit up the sky, and the remaining alien ships retreated, their formation in disarray. On board the Zeraxian Ascendant, Overseer Vikal watched the battle's conclusion with simmering rage. "They destroyed an assault carrier," he growled. "Primitive or not, they've become a threat." Esrix, bruised but alive, appeared on the bridge. "What are your orders, Overseer?" Vikal's eyes glinted with malice. "No more warnings. No more demonstrations. We will annihilate their defenses and subjugate them completely. Prepare the fleet for full invasion." In the aftermath of the battle, Washington lay in ruins, but the world celebrated. For the first time, humanity had not only resisted the Concorde but delivered a devastating blow. The victory was bittersweet, a reminder of the cost of defiance, but also a testament to humanity's resilience. As President Castillo addressed the world, her words carried a message of defiance and hope. "We've shown the Concorde that Earth is not theirs to take. The fight is far from over, but together, we will endure. They may have underestimated us once. They won't make that mistake again." Humanity's unexpected victories against the United Galactic Concorde rippled through the galaxy. While Earth prepared for the inevitable counterattack, whispers of rebellion began spreading among the Concorde's lesser member species. For centuries, the Concorde had ruled with an iron grip, but Earth's defiance gave hope to those who had long resented their overlords. Far from Earth, on the Concorde fringe world of Malthir 7, a secret gathering convened deep within an ancient cavern system. representatives of subjugated species, forced into servitude under the Concord, met to discuss what had once been unthinkable: rebellion. Among them was Veril, a wiry, amphibian-like creature from the aquatic world of Oranax 3. His wide, reflective eyes darted nervously as he spoke. If these humans can damage a Concord assault carrier, perhaps we have underestimated them. Perhaps they are the allies we need. A towering insectoid named Trixaven, her mandibles clicking rhythmically, interjected. You speak of alliance with primitives. Their victory was a fluke. They cannot challenge the full might of the Concord. Veril stood his ground. Their tactics are unorthodox, unpredictable. That is their strength. They fight like nothing the Concord has faced before. If we do nothing, the humans will fall, and we will remain slaves forever. The room fell silent, the weight of his words sinking in. Finally, a hulking reptilian named Drask, his scales scarred from years of battle in the Concord's name, rumbled his agreement. The humans are bold. If nothing else, they are a spark. It is time we fan the flames. On Earth, humanity remained oblivious to the brewing rebellion among their enemies. In the UEC's underground command center, President Elena Castillo and her top advisors were focused on fortifying Earth's defenses. General Tariq Al-Masri pointed at a holographic display showing alien fleet movements. The Concord is consolidating their forces in orbit. They're preparing for a full-scale invasion. Dr. Akihiko Mori added grimly, our analysis suggests they're also deploying a planetary suppression array. If activated, it could cripple our defenses and communications globally. Castillo nodded, her expression resolute. Then we need to act before they finish deploying it. What are our options? Lieutenant Commander Iris Patel leaned forward. A direct assault is suicide. But there's a chance we could sabotage it from within. We've been analyzing the remains of their crashed scout ships. If we can disguise a team using their tech, we might infiltrate their flagship. The room fell silent as the weight of the plan settled in. Castillo finally spoke. It's risky, but if it works, we could delay their invasion and gain critical intel. As preparations for the infiltration mission began, an unexpected transmission was received in the command center. The signal was weak and distorted, but its origin was unmistakably alien. After hours of decoding, the message was played before the UEC leaders. This is Veril of Oranax 3. I speak for those who suffer under the Concord's rule. Your defiance has inspired us. We offer you knowledge and assistance. If you will stand with us against our oppressors. The room erupted into discussion. Some advisors were skeptical, fearing a trap, but Castillo silenced them with a raised hand. If they're sincere, this could change everything. Open a secure channel. I want to speak with them. The first meeting between humanity and the alien dissidents took place in deep space, on the far side of Earth's moon. A cloaked Concord shuttle approached cautiously, its sleek surface shimmering as it landed near a concealed UEC base. Inside the shuttle, Veril and his companions were visibly tense. The humans waiting for them, a mix of soldiers, scientists, and diplomats, were equally wary. President Castillo stepped forward, extending a hand in a gesture of goodwill. Veril hesitated before mimicking the gesture, his webbed fingers closing around hers. We did not expect your kind to respond so quickly. The Concord often boasts of the inferiority of younger species. Castillo smiled faintly. They underestimated us. Just as they underestimated you. Over the next several hours, the two groups exchanged information. Veril revealed that many Concord species were dissatisfied with their leader's authoritarian rule but feared retaliation. He also provided schematics of the planetary suppression array, detailing its vulnerabilities. We cannot fight the Concord openly, Veril admitted. But with your ingenuity and our intelligence, we can weaken them from within. Castillo nodded. Together, we stand a chance. With the dissidents' help, the UEC's infiltration team finalized their plan. Disguised in stolen Concord armor and equipped with cloaking technology, a small group of elite operatives would board the flagship Zeraction Ascendant to sabotage the suppression array. Lieutenant Commander Patel volunteered to lead the mission. We know the risks, she said, But if we succeed, we'll cripple their ability to control Earth. Dr. Mori handed her a small device. This is the virus we use to disrupt their communication network. If you can plant it in their systems, it'll buy us even more time. As the team launched into space, humanity's hope hung on their success. The Concorde fleet remained ominously still, their next move yet to come. Inside the Ziraxian Ascendant, Overseer Vikal paced the command deck, his frustration mounting. These humans and their allies grow bolder, he snarled. Prepare the array. I will not tolerate further delays. Unbeknownst to him, Patel and her team were already aboard, moving stealthily through the labyrinthine corridors of the massive ship. Their mission was clear: sabotage the array, plant the virus, and escape undetected. On Earth, President Castillo monitored the operation in tense silence. The dissidents had gambled everything to stand with humanity, and the UEC's resources were stretched to the breaking point. But for the first time, Earth was not fighting alone. As the infiltration team approached their target, Patel's voice crackled over the comms. We're in position. Beginning sabotage now. The Ziraxian Ascendant loomed in space, a silent and formidable fortress that drifted with the kind of calm only invaders could afford. Inside, Lieutenant Commander Iris Patel and her elite team moved through its dimly lit, metallic corridors. Their boots echoed faintly on the cold floors as they advanced, their cloaking devices rendering them nearly invisible to the ship's security systems. Status report, Patel whispered, her voice tight with focus. Everything's clear so far, replied Lieutenant Jackson, the team's tech specialist, his voice tinged with urgency. We've bypassed the outer sensors. Moving toward the core systems now. Patel nodded, scanning the dark hallway ahead. She could almost feel the weight of the alien ship pressing down on her, a reminder of how much humanity stood to lose if they failed. But their timing had been impeccable. The Concorde's vigilance had waned, and the dissidents had fed them crucial intel. The infiltration team now had one shot to take down the suppression array, and they couldn't afford a mistake. They moved swiftly, pausing only when they reached a heavily guarded access door. A metallic voice crackled over their comms, alerting them to an imminent patrol. Patel gestured for the team to hide in the shadows, their cloaks blending perfectly with the ship's steel walls. They waited, breath held, as the footsteps of the alien guards passed by. When the coast was clear, they resumed their silent march. Meanwhile, back at Earth's command center, President Elena Castillo monitored the operation from a secure room. The tension in the air was palpable, the weight of each passing second adding to the pressure. Therein, General Al-Masri reported, his eyes fixed on the live feed. If they can disable that array, it'll throw a major wrench in the Concorde's plans. We'll have a window to hit their remaining ships. Castillo's gaze never wavered. We can't afford to wait for that window. Prepare the backup strikes. If they fail, we still need to hit them where it hurts. Admiral Park stood next to the president, her arms folded. We've got eyes on their fleet. Once the suppression array goes down, we'll have a chance to push back. But only if the team on that ship can disable the systems without triggering the alarm. Understood, Castillo replied, her voice steady. We do this together or not at all. On the Ziraxian Ascendant, Patel and her team arrived at the central control room. A complex network of glowing, alien interfaces filled the vast chamber. The suppression array, located deep within the ship, was a colossal structure that pulsed with a strange energy, its power emanating through the very walls. This device, if activated, could sever Earth's communication and military capabilities, leaving humanity vulnerable to a full-scale assault. Jackson swiftly set to work, his fingers flying over a holographic terminal. I've got access to the array's power grid, he muttered. But this is going to take a minute. Patel's eyes scanned the room, her instincts on high alert. They had to move quickly, every second counted. We don't have a minute, she hissed. Do it faster. A soft beep signaled the activation of a decryption sequence. Jackson's expression tightened as he worked. The encryption is advanced. I'm unlocking the security layers now, but... He didn't finish his sentence. Suddenly, the floor trembled, and an alarm blared throughout the ship. They've detected us, Jackson shouted, panic creeping into his voice. Patel's heart skipped a beat. Abort the mission now. But Jackson shook his head. No, I can't. I'm so close. The ship's loudspeakers crackled. Unauthorized personnel detected. Intruders on board. All units to intercept. We don't have a choice, Patel said, her voice calm but deadly. She drew her sidearm and motioned for the team to brace for what was coming. Defend the terminal no matter what. Back on Earth, the UEC command center descended into chaos as the breach alarm echoed across the room. President Castillo's face turned pale as she stood frozen before the holographic display. What's happening? She demanded. Signal loss from the team, General Al-Masri reported, his tone grim. It's too early to tell if they've succeeded, but the disruption is spreading. We may have just lost contact with them. Castillo gritted her teeth, her resolve hardening. We can't wait for them. Prep the strike now. But before she could give the final order, a message blinked into the command center's terminal. A garbled transmission from Jackson, weak but still intact. The array, it's malfunctioning. We're holding them off, but the transmission cut off abruptly. Admiral Park leaned in closer, analyzing the data. They've done it. The array's been compromised. The room erupted in cheers, but Castillo's face remained stoic. It's not over. We need to move quickly. Prepare the backup attacks now. On board the Zeraction Ascendant, the situation had spiraled into chaos. The team was under fire. Alien guards, drawn by the blaring alarms, flooded into the central chamber. Patel's team fought back with brutal efficiency, but the numbers were overwhelming. The cloaking devices could only hide them for so long before the aliens' enhanced senses began to catch on. Patel's mind raced. They were close, so close. But as the guards closed in, it became clear that the team wouldn't be able to escape without a fight. Jackson, finish the sequence, Patel shouted, firing her sidearm into the advancing alien soldiers. We'll hold them off. Jackson's hands shook as he manipulated the terminal. Just a few more seconds, he gritted through clenched teeth. Patel turned to face her team. We make our stand here. Hold them at the door. The team formed a defensive perimeter, using every weapon and tool at their disposal to keep the alien forces at bay. The ship's alarms wailed louder, signaling the imminent activation of its systems. If they didn't disable the array now, Earth's fate would be sealed. Finally, Jackson's voice rang out. Done. The virus is in. With a flick of his wrist, a glowing icon appeared on the terminal screen. The suppression array, which had once pulsed ominously, flickered and sparked, before shutting down entirely. The tension in the room was palpable as the hum of the alien ship's machinery slowed to a halt. But their relief was short-lived. We've triggered their self-destruct sequence, Patel muttered, grimly watching the countdown clock appear on the terminal. The countdown clock flashed red, its numbers ticking down with an unforgiving urgency. 5 minutes. For minutes, the team's hearts raced, and the silence of the Zeraction Ascendant felt suffocating, punctuated only by the distant alarms and the whirring of failing systems. Patel's mind was sharp, calculating their next move. The mission had been a success. Earth's communication and military systems were free from the suppression array, the virus was planted, and the entire alien fleet had been thrown into disarray. But their escape? That was another matter entirely. Jackson, how long do we have before this thing goes up? Patel asked, her voice as steady as she could make it. Jackson, sweat beading on his forehead, worked furiously at the terminal. The self-destruct is set to trigger in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. We need to get to the docking bay now. Patel looked at her team. Their expressions were grim, but there was no panic, just determination. They had come this far. They would not die here. Not today. Everyone move out, she commanded. The team, weapons drawn and cloaks active, raced toward the nearest exit. The Zeraction Ascendant was vast, and the corridors seemed endless as they darted between the dimly lit passageways. The hum of alien machinery now eerily hollow, as though the ship itself were dying. But every step they took was a step closer to the docking bay, the only hope they had of escaping the ship before it turned into a tomb. Back in Earth's command center, President Elena Castillo and her team monitored the situation closely, the fate of the infiltration team hanging in the balance. "Is there any way we can help them?" General Al-Masri asked, eyes glued to the data streams. "We can't let them die there." Admiral Park shook her head. "We've lost contact. The EMP strikes we launched at their fleet have scattered them, but they're still too close to risk a direct approach. Any support from our forces would be too late." Castillo's gaze hardened. "We wait then, and when they're back, we finish this." Inside the Zeraction Ascendant, Patel's team encountered resistance as they neared the docking bay. Alien guards, their bodies covered in thick, chitinous armor, appeared around every corner, weapons raised. The team fought back, moving in coordinated bursts, taking down one enemy after another. Their cloaks offered some protection, but the alien soldiers were relentless. Patel aimed and fired at an advancing guard, hitting it square in the chest. The alien's screech echoed down the hall, and the body slumped to the floor. "Keep moving," she shouted. The team pressed forward, knowing that every second wasted was a second closer to the ship's destruction. Jackson led the way, his hands moving as swiftly as he could to hack into the docking bay's security systems. Almost there, he muttered, "If I can override the controls, we'll have a chance to launch." But then, a voice boomed through the ship's intercom system, its tone cold and commanding. "You cannot escape," Overseer Vikel's voice echoed across the corridors. "The ship is ours. You are surrounded." Patel clenched her jaw. Vikel had to know they were trying to escape. He was no fool. But she wasn't about to surrender. Not now. Not after everything they'd sacrificed. "Team, stick together," Patel ordered. "We're making it out or we die trying." As the team neared the docking bay, they found themselves facing an entire squad of Concord soldiers, weapons drawn. The air crackled with tension. Patel's mind raced. They couldn't fight their way out of this. There were too many of them. Her thoughts turned to the ship's layout. There had to be another way. "Jackson, do you have access to the bay's auxiliary doors?" she asked quickly. Jackson didn't hesitate. "I can override the door controls. If we're quick, we can make it to the escape pods." The team braced themselves for a firefight, but Patel had a better idea. "No time for that. Move." She ordered the team to scatter, breaking their formation in different directions to confuse the enemy. As Jackson worked feverishly on the terminal, Patel took up a defensive position, firing at the approaching soldiers, buying him time. The blasts from her weapon echoed through the corridor, but the Concord soldiers advanced with an unyielding determination. The tension was unbearable. Every shot Patel fired seemed to only slow them down, but the soldiers were getting closer. She could feel the countdown ticking in her bones. "Jackson," she shouted. "I'm almost there," he yelled back, his voice tense but resolute. Suddenly, the sound of the door systems unlocking filled the hallway. The heavy steel doors to the docking bay slid open, revealing an empty launch pad and rows of escape pods. "Go," Patel ordered. The team sprinted for the pods, Jackson leading the way. Behind them, the sound of alien footsteps grew louder, but they didn't stop to look. Time was their enemy. Patel was the last one to enter an escape pod. She glanced over her shoulder, her breath coming in sharp gasps. A squad of Concord soldiers rounded the corner just as she sealed the pod's hatch. With a sudden jolt, the pod launched, the force sending her hurtling back into the cushioned seat. Through the small viewports, she saw the Zeraction Ascendant looming behind them, its massive hull now vibrating with the internal detonation countdown. The sound of the ship's explosion would soon follow. On Earth, the entire world watched as the escape pods shot into the sky, breaking through Earth's atmosphere. A collective breath was held as President Castillo and her team awaited confirmation. "We're tracking the pods," Admiral Park reported, her voice tight. "They're on course to rendezvous with our fleet." As the first pod entered the outer reaches of Earth's orbit, a new transmission came through. It was the team, alive, and the voice that came through was unmistakable. Patel's. "We're out," she said, her voice exhausted but triumphant. Mission complete. The room erupted in cheers. The infiltration team had made it back against all odds. Earth had been saved, for now. But as the Zeraxian Ascendant exploded in the distance, the war was far from over. The Concorde would return. Earth's skies were quiet, for the moment. The infiltration team had returned, and the sudden eruption of victory was palpable. But beneath the relief, President Elena Castillo knew that the battle was far from over. The Concorde had been dealt a significant blow, but they were not a race to be deterred by a single failure. A larger storm was coming, and humanity, once a mere speck in the galaxy, had made itself a target. Inside the UEC's underground command center, Castillo and her senior advisors stood in front of a holographic display, watching the last of the escape pods settle into orbit. The countdown for the Zeraxian Ascendant's self-destruction had given them a brief window to regroup, but the damage to the Concorde was not enough to win the war. "We can't let our guard down," General Tariq Al-Masri said, his voice grave as he pointed to the incoming fleet data. "We've hit them hard, but they're already regrouping. Their retaliation will be brutal." Castillo folded her arms across her chest, her face hardening. "We knew this would be a long fight, but we can't fight like we did before. If we're going to survive, we need to strike back. Force them into a war of attrition they can't win." Admiral Park nodded. "We've been preparing. The new tech the dissidents shared with us. If we can reverse engineer it, we may be able to turn their own weapons against them." Castillo didn't hesitate. "Then let's get to work. We've only bought ourselves time." In the shadows of the galaxy, Overseer Vehicle stood at the helm of the Concorde's remaining fleet, staring out into the expanse of space. The destruction of the Zeraxian Ascendant was a heavy blow, but it had not been fatal. His race had suffered losses, but they were far from beaten. And in their defeat, he saw opportunity. "Prepare the fleet," Vehicle commanded. "We will make Earth regret ever challenging us. But this time we will take the fight to them. We will scorch their skies, burn their cities, and show them the full might of the Concorde." A chorus of nods and affirmative statements echoed from the officers around him, their faces a reflection of the fierce resolve shared by their leader. The humans had not yet fully realized the power of the Concorde, but they would. On Earth, the rapid rebuilding efforts continued as UEC forces recovered the technology the dissidents had shared. The biggest breakthrough came from the alien tech they'd reverse-engineered. The Concorde's formidable planetary suppression array had been devastating, but now humanity had the means to counter it, and more. Their new defense systems, developed in collaboration with the dissident factions, could neutralize Concorde weapons and give Earth a fighting chance. Dr. Akihiko Mori, one of Earth's leading scientists, marveled at the alien tech spread across the laboratory. This could change everything. If we can mass-produce this in time, we could tip the scales. Castillo joined him, her expression thoughtful. "We don't have much time. The Concorde won't let us rebuild for long. We need to think bigger," Mori replied, turning to face her. "We need to break their war machine, not just defend ourselves. We need to cripple their fleets, take down their supply lines, and ensure they can't rebuild." "Agreed," Castillo said, her resolve hardening. "It's not just about survival anymore. It's about victory. And we're going to bring the fight to them." In the heart of space, an alliance between Earth and the dissidents from various alien species began to take shape. Veril, the amphibian representative from Oranax 3, communicated with Earth's High Command, offering more than just information. They were now committed to a full-scale war against the Concorde, not as allies, but as equals. Each side brought their strengths to the table, knowing that their survival depended on unity. "We've seen how the humans fight," Veril said during a strategic meeting, his voice laced with determination. "You fight like no other race in the galaxy. Your unpredictability and bravery are unmatched." Patel, now regarded as a hero on Earth for her pivotal role in the sabotage mission, stood beside him. "We may be small, but we've learned to turn our weaknesses into strengths. And now we've got their technology, their tactics, and our will to win." The leaders of the dissident factions nodded in agreement. Drask, the massive reptilian from Siren, added, "The Concorde's dominance is built on fear and oppression. We fight to destroy that fear." The human and alien alliance began to coordinate their efforts, pooling their resources and technology to create a new fleet, a fleet of liberated species, united under a banner of freedom. Earth's best engineers worked with alien scientists to design ships capable of outmaneuvering Concorde forces. Meanwhile, the dissidents began supplying Earth's forces with advanced weaponry, shields, and cloaking technologies that had once been the exclusive domain of the Concorde. Days passed, and the Concorde's response was swift and unforgiving. The ships of their fleet began to rally, moving toward Earth's borders with a vengeance. The war that had been sparked by humanity's defiance was now entering its next phase. The Human Dissident Alliance made the first move, launching a series of precision strikes against the Concorde's supply depots and relay stations. The attacks crippled the Concorde's logistical operations, cutting off their reinforcements and resupply routes. But the victory came at a cost. The Concorde retaliated in full force, launching massive waves of ships toward Earth, determined to wipe out the Alliance once and for all. As the battle raged in space, President Castillo stood before Earth's United Military Command, her face stoic, her voice resolute. This is it. The Concorde thinks they can destroy us. They think we're weak, but we've proven them wrong time and time again. We fight to win. We fight to show them that Earth will never be their slave. The final battle began. A sprawling fleet of human, dissident, and alien ships engaged the Concorde's armada in a battle that would determine the fate of humanity and its newfound allies. The clash of ships, lasers, and explosions lit the expanse of space, as Earth's forces fought alongside their alien counterparts, striking back against the invaders. Patel, now commanding a ship of her own, maneuvered through the chaos, coordinating strikes with the alien fleet. The newly integrated technology allowed the Alliance to counter Concorde tactics, even turning their own weapons against them. Overseer Vikal, still commanding his forces, watched in horror as his fleet was slowly overwhelmed. This cannot be, he growled. The humans and their allies. They will not defeat us, but it was too late. As Earth's Alliance scored victory after victory, the Concorde fleet began to falter, their ships falling one by one. Vikal's forces, scattered and disorganized, couldn't withstand the combined might of the united fleet. The final blow came when Earth's forces targeted the heart of the Concorde's command structure, crippling their leadership. Vikal's flagship, once a symbol of invincibility, was torn apart in a massive explosion, signaling the collapse of the Concorde's grip on the galaxy. Earth, the once forgotten world, had become the beacon of defiance. Against all odds, humanity and their allies had fought not just for survival, but for a future free of tyranny. The Concorde's empire crumbled, and in its place, a new galactic order emerged, one where the oppressed rose up, united in their shared struggle for freedom. As President Castillo gazed out at the stars, she knew the war was over, but the legacy of Earth's victory would last for generations. Humanity had proven that even the mightiest empire could be toppled, and in doing so, they had ignited a fire that would burn across the galaxy for centuries to come. The end. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stellar HFY content. Ring that bell to stay updated, and we'll see you next time.